Yeah, man. What's up, man? We got to get into it. What's up? It's your boy G Bush. We back at it again. Another episode of the Barbershop. Oh, man, we got a lot of stuff going on in today's show. We will get to a lot. We're going to talk a little Cavs, too. We're going to talk a little Cavs and talk a little bit with Greg Schwarz here. Cavs did get a big-time victory last night. Donovan Mitchell hit a big-time shot. So, definitely you want to talk a little Cavs, man. We'll get him, Greg Schwarz. He should be on about 3:30. A little bit after that, we'll get him linked up and hear what he has to say about the Cavs. Get a win last night against the Brooklyn Nets, and we'll see what's going on with that. Talk a little Evan Mobley outlook for the 2023 season, and are they making some moves and where he sees them coming out on the end. So we'll talk to Greg Schwarz of the Bleacher Report on here as well. We will definitely get to some comments. Bernie Kosar had a lot of comments to say. I thought he had some gems and some jewels that we need to definitely look out in terms of, what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he's not going to be playing this week. PJ Walker is going to be in at quarterback. We talked a lot about that on UCSS and talking about in general, what are they going to do? PJ Walker looks like he's the quarterback. He has some gems that Bernie Kosar talked about. So we will get to those as well coming up here. And then we'll talk about this. It's the fan base, man. And we talk about a lot of different things about the fan base when it comes to certain players, when it comes to not only Deshaun Watson and when it comes to other players in the past. The Deshaun Watson saga will continue, and it continues on. And it will continue to keep going until somebody has some right messaging and figure out what's going on here. And I'm going to just say this. One of my things that I hang my hat on, if you don't listen, this is the UCSS, and I'm doing this on UCSS's YouTube page, right? But I say this on my channel all the time. To me, I'm married to what I see and how I go about it. Everything that I say ain't for everybody. I come from a different perspective. Sometimes these type of blogs ain't for you. Sometimes you want to listen and you want to hear somebody be perfectly, you want to hear rainbows and candy lakes and all that other good stuff. Sometimes I got to give it to you like I give it to you, bro. That's how I bring my show. And today might not be a show for everybody. If you come in here to think that you're going to get warm your shoulders up and feel good about PJ Walker, that's not what we're looking for. But if you want some thought-provoking stuff and you want to get challenged about what you think, we can have a discourse here and we can have that. But it ain't for everybody. I'm not disillusioned and think it is. It just ain't for everybody. I keep it real. Like, I don't have nothing. I don't know ulterior motives. I don't know none of these dudes. I'm not eating birthday cake with none of them. This is just my opinion, how I give it up and what I see. And from what I've been seeing and reading and doing different things. So this situation that I look at right now, it's eerie. And I think we got to talk about a couple things when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. We like to assume that all of our fan base is informed as we are, as positive as we are, that understands the game as much as we are, that understands the ins and outs and what we need to do and how you need to go about doing certain things. It's not. And when I titled this blog, the front office is causing fans to turn on Deshaun Watson. You got to look at it from a perspective of this. When you look at what the front office has and completely does, and I'm coming from a perspective of leadership. Where I've come from, I managed multiple people in corporate America. I've managed up to 200 people below me before. I understand what it is to have some responsibilities and what responsibilities and messaging you have to be clear when you're talking about people that are underneath you. And right now, the Cleveland Browns have done Deshaun Watson no favors. And to be truthful with you guys, I always tell this, the same thing I said about Baker Mayfield. It doesn't do you any good to wish Baker Mayfield the worst, because Baker Mayfield is a quarterback and he was the quarterback and I'm trying to win. My goal is to root for the Cleveland Browns. And so right now what I see is there's about 50% of this fan base, and to be honest with you, that just don't like Deshaun Watson. It is what it is. They just don't like him. And it's one of those things where I saw it happen with Baker Mayfield. I saw it happen with Odell Beckham Jr. I've seen it happen with Jarvis Landry. They tried to make it happen with Myles Garrett. Let's be clear with that. They tried to make like half the fan base turned on Myles Garrett for the helmet issue, the incident. Half of them turned on him for the helmet incident. That's facts. We had people, when you talk about flipping his car, we talked about that. We talked about the fact that he needs to make more plays. We talked about how he's not at OTAs. We got a real crazy way of showing that you appreciate certain things. And the only reason they got up off Myles Garrett, it was because Myles Garrett is a generational talent. A generational talent. I've had people tell me he should be at OTAs. We got a real problem. Sometimes I ask myself, who do you like? Who do y'all really rock with? Like, who do you really love? Like, I don't understand, and I'm trying to figure this thing out. And so when I get to this, let me get my banner up here. Let me get my other joint. Where we at here? What I'm trying to get to is not Donovan Mitchell hitting no shot. Not that. It's this. When you look at what the Cleveland Browns have said and are saying since the beginning of the time when Deshaun Watson came into this game, they've made multiple missteps. Today, he goes out and he's in the press and he's talking about what's going on. Why do you want to play? We know what happened with the Brady Quinn situation, right? We know what Brady Quinn says. He crossed the line. He's making massage jokes. Like, and so I already put a video out about that. Go check that out in the barbershop, by the way. He's making massage jokes and all this other different things, right? And I hear people say all the time in the media, have my co-mate say, oh, don't pay attention to that. You can't be barking back and forth. You can't be barking back and forth, people. You can't have rabbit ears. Listen, I'm going to tell you what I feel where I come from. Where I come from, people take stuff personally. And at some point in time, I got to see you as a man. Like at some point, you don't have carte blanche to say whatever you want and people can't react to it. See, there's a catch-22. People want him to be quiet when it comes to detractors, but you still want him to stand in front of a camera and tell you what's going on with him, right? So if he going to speak on that, he should have the right and the responsibility to speak on what somebody's trying to slander his name. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say this once and once only. He ain't played good. So if you think I'm saying this just based because I like Deshaun Watson, I've always said, I don't care nothing about none of these dudes. I'm G. Bush. I stand on my own too, and I'm not looking to go to nobody's cookouts or birthday parties. I preach what's on my mind. Deshaun Watson has not played well, but there's also missteps that the coaching staff and the front office has done to make people believe that he doesn't want to play. We have Bernie Kosar on, and one of the craziest things Bernie Kosar said is like, listen, come on, I had the same exact injury. I'm a quarterback. I understand what it is to have that injury. And nobody, no matter how much money they make, is faking. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand. I played, and I didn't even play at that high of a level. I played, and I put my body on the line just like a lot of other people did. I'm permanently injured for the rest of my life for playing football, right? And people go out there and do it because it's not because of the money. It's because they love the game. It's because of the camaraderie with the people in the locker room. So it's ridiculous for people to talk about he don't want to play because he had money. By the way, Deshaun Watson already got a $100 million contract when he was in Houston. He was already a multimillionaire. By the way, Deshaun Watson already, in his rookie deal, was already rich. So he's been sitting on $200 million for a while before he even got this contract. So they had the press conference today, and Deshaun Watson, he's up there. They ask him the question. People been saying, insinuating that you ain't trying to play because you don't want to get injured further, and you might not actually be that hurt not to go out there. This is Deshaun Watson's quote. "This is what I've been doing since I was 6 years old. So why wouldn't I want to play?" Watson said, "I see the same things. I see all the narratives, this and that and the third. All the stuff is trying to cause controversy and commotion. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm not happy with the injury, but I am great in a great space mentally and in a great space spiritually. Why wouldn't I want to play? I don't do this for no other reason. See that? The whole contract situation and this stuff, that's just for people to talk and create narratives." So at the end of the day, you could criticize a man for saying he's not playing well. You could criticize a dude for saying, you know what? I'm disappointed that we don't get to see the type of player that we thought we was going to get to see in Houston. You could even go as far as to criticize him and talk about, well, look, I don't like some of his imaging. I don't like some of the stuff that the allegations that come along with Deshaun Watson. But at the end of the day, when you're accusing somebody to take money, like they're taking money and stealing money and not being injured, you talking about somebody's character. And when I titled that the Cleveland Browns and their missteps have naturally caused people to turn, because everything that they've said so far has said and meant he's not that injured. The mixed messages say to fans, he's not that hurt. He's cleared to play. He held himself out. I expect him to play against the 49ers. When he comes back, I expect him to continue to play. When you have those missteps and when you have those situations, that now people look at Deshaun Watson and they ask him questions in the media like, do you want to play? And those are stupid questions. Sometimes for me, I got into this game because I like sports. I got into this game because I love sports and I love what it means for competition and different things like that. But this media stuff, I could care less about that. I mean, when I got in here and I started looking around like, this is what y'all do? This is how we moving? And one thing that people talk about and that we get to is, as a player, the only thing you have really is your word and your image. His image was already tarnished when he got here. So as an organization, you have to actually be cognizant of what you say and what you don't say. Or you're going to end up with comments like this, because this is, I told Bull and Jay this today. I've been looking around at the comment sections. I've been looking around in a lot of different places. I see a lot of different people. I talk to people. I'm in the street all the time. And when I would gauge and I put my finger in the air and I look around, I would say 50% of the fans they are off the ship already. 50%. They said, well, G. Bush, come on, it's Twitter, it's comment sections. That ain't the whole. No. You got to understand. DJ Hazmat said something today where he talked about it. He said, I asked him a question. I said, yo, they used to label you a Baker bro or whatever. And he said something that I thought was profound. He said, the people that labeled me a Baker bro were the people that were against Baker Mayfield. And he said, when Baker Mayfield used to do something correct, people, you wouldn't give him credit for it. When Baker Mayfield used to go back and he would get a win, but he didn't play well, people never gave him credit for it. Eventually, he was shipped out of town and he had to go. He said, but the thing that always got me was when we got Deshaun Watson, those same group of people now flipped over and said, I don't like him because of the allegations. I don't like him. They gave up too much. I don't like the trade. I don't like none of the moves. And now he's saying, and Adam DeBull so eloquently called them Watson Warriors. He said now that same group of people is on the other side saying, look at your boy. He ain't playing good. You look at him injured now. Should we have done the deal? He said, it was good for the goose. It's good for the gander. And so when I started thinking about that, I said, hold on. You know what? That don't sound too crazy. And I just decided to go get a couple samples. When Deshaun Watson had his press conference, this is after he talked about being injured and why he couldn't play and all that good stuff. And this is the type of stuff that's littered in the Browns community. The receipts are here, people. This is off Twitter. I don't know who this person is. We just looking. Maybe he asked to be traded. Maybe the Browns want to get rid of him. Maybe the injury is being faked into the trade deadline to see if a deal can be done. So many conspiracy possibilities. He looks unhappy to me. Bryce Young for Deshaun Watson. It's just one person, right? By the way, if you cross that name out there, just get rid of Deshaun Watson, you put Odell Beckham Jr.'s name in there, it still fits. So it still fits. We've been doing this. Let's get to another one. He just spent 23 months not playing football. Hard to get that desire going again when the checks keep coming, whether he shows up or not. I'm just saying. I mean, I understand the human nature. When somebody makes more money than you can imagine ever having, that's a situation where you're going to bring up, you're going to think about the money, right? So what's going to happen? All right, let's see what somebody else got to say. Body language says, I'm a fraud, going to cash checks, and I have other priorities. Expensive excuse maker. Nobody on the team is going to feel confident following this guy as a leader. Okay. Just want to get a couple more in here and figure out where you guys stand. Doctors cleared him before. He still held out. Came back to play last week, and his arm strength looked just fine in practice and warmups. He sucks. Goes 1-5 with the interception, then pulls himself out, claiming he re-injured it, but docs say no further damage. Now, by the way, this is coming from the most, we like to claim that we're so informed. Half of what he said was crazy. This is coming from the Cleveland Browns informed fan base. You see why messaging counts? Because the first thing he says, doctors cleared him before. That's directly from Kevin Stefanski's mouth. Directly from his mouth. We'll keep riding. Trade is a disaster either way. Mortgage future for him. By the way, I find it ironic that people who rent talk about mortgages. That's why they don't listen to you, G. Bush. You better stop playing. You ain't gonna have no fans listening to you. Stop, like the whole mortgage the future thing. I'd be willing to sell my picks to get a win any day in a week. I don't care nothing about the mortgage. Hey, if I die today, who cares? This is what it is, bro. Let's get one more in here, man. Oh, and by the way, this is. I just had to put this in here too, because it's riddled with this stuff. Can he find a good masseuse in Cleveland to help him with the shoulder? I guarantee he knows it addresses every damn massage place within 100 miles of Cleveland. And the reason I just put that up there, just one, to just show you, is because this is what we deal with on a consistent basis. And I would ask Todd, I would ask him, he has mothers, he has granddaughters, or he has nieces. Does he have any women in his life that he cares about? I would question and say, for every man that wants to make massage jokes and they want to play the moral high ground about how sexual assault and all that is important, I don't think it's funny that you should be laughing at the expense of people who said they were victims of sexual assault just to make a joke about Deshaun Watson that's not original. You see, you can't have it both ways. Either you believe the victims and you really care about that kind of stuff and you think it's foul, or you make jokes about it on Twitter because it's funny and you think it's original. You're gonna get a couple likes. You can't stand on both principles. At the end of the day, I'm just keeping it real. I just put that in there for that. Let's get to some of our comments. I'm just keeping. Sometimes I just want to keep it real. I just gotta talk to them. Let's coming up here. Let's get to our first break. Let's talk about Behind the Glass. Shout out to Behind the Glass. I think they got something coming up. They had a show yesterday. Earl, Anthony, McNuggets, they do their thing. Shout out to them. Make sure you check out Behind the Glass. They talked a little bit about these certain subjects on their show, get another perspective, and they do it in a way that I think is thought-provoking. They got some big guests coming up, so make sure you check out Behind the Glass. You can find that right here where you finding me at on the UCSS YouTube channel. All right, let's get into your comments. There's 181 comments in here, 319 people. Hit that like button. Hey, I'm just trying to get a conversation started. What a conversation that we're trying to get it started. If this conversation might not be for everybody. You know what I'm saying? No harm, no foul. Let me see. I got a super chat. I got to get to that first. Got a super chat to get to that first. Drew Carey lied when he said Cleveland rocks. They're corny. All they do is troll. I would like to assume that there's good people and bad people in any fan base. But I do want to say this. This is, to me, in my opinion, facts. This thing is split. It's 50-50, bro. It's 50-50 when you come to who's behind Deshaun Watson, what is Deshaun Watson going to be, or whatever. And a lot of it, and I'm going to just keep it regular, a lot of it has nothing to do with he playing on the field. Just be real. If you know, you know. A lot of it has zero, nothing to do with what he's playing good or bad on the football field. To be honest with people, to be completely honest, football a lot right now, and especially in sports and athletics, is a lot like politics, right? So people usually identify with the group they identify, and it becomes tribal. So you got one person who thinks the quarterback should start, another person thinks that quarterback should start. I vote Democrat, I vote Republican, I'm an independent, right? So it's a lot like that, how it happens when you talk about sports. The one thing that I can get to, and this is a main thing that I want to get before we get to our next topic, is this. There's a lot of individuals. Brady Quinn did it. A lot of people bring up his money. A lot of people have bring up 230, and most likely everybody talks about the guaranteed money he's giving up. So let me give you one detractor right here, and I want your opinion on this too. One thing that irks me is in sports, everything is an open book. You know how much a man get paid. You know how many contract years he got on there. You know how many voidable years he got. You know what incentives he has in his contract. You know how many times he's been in trouble. You got to know how many times he's public record. He's done all these different type of things, right? So if we want to take money, right, and everybody want to talk about the money, I'd say this. How's about if we went to every local media member? I'm included. I ain't got no problem with this. I'll raise my hand, right? What if hypothetically I went to every local media member and said, look, I think we need to be transparent as a press. If we sit here talking about public figures and how much they make and whether they're worth it or not, here's my suggestion. Let's all of us go ahead and publicly disclose how much each individual of us make. How the beat reporters, all of them, the radio guys, all of them, the journalists, all of them. How's about we publicly display it, right? And they say, why would you do that? Well, listen, I want to know if it's fair game for a player to know how much money he making. They public figures, we public figures. Our opinions can sway the opinion of fans, that can sway the opinion of the front office. Oh, what we write counts. To be truthful, we get to vote on whether they go to the Hall of Fame or not. So my question is this. Why don't all of us just raise our hand and say, hey, here's my contract. Here's how much I made last year. And here's how much I want this year. In the chat, can you put, if I came to people with that really quickly, in the chat, if I suggested that, do you believe the majority of people will be for it or against it? If you think the journalists would be for it, put a 1. If you think that they would be against it at all costs, put a 2. I'm gonna circle back to this later on. I just want to know, transparency. Just to be transparent, I want to put all our salaries out there, how much we make. Here's my contract. This is what I'm getting. This is what I want next year if everything goes right. Would local media sign up for that? 1, if you think they would. 2, if no. I'm just working up to something here. We'll see what we talk about. He deserves to be skewered. That's why I love this fan base. Well, listen, CPR, what's so crazy, man, is you do know that you do need to get more people at one point in time. It's counterproductive for every free agent or person you get here to come in and say, I don't like it. That's not a good look, right? The whole Deshaun Watson fan ordeal is about lack of patience. He is hurt. He has to play games. Hey, Reese Holt says, listen, the same way I rode for Baker, even if he was playing too well, is the same way I'm riding for Deshaun Watson. I agree. I totally agree. Watson just clarified today that he was not that crisp last Friday. So all this he looked just shows people see what they want to see and need glasses. Sometimes I put them tweets up there just so you can see what other people see. Kevin Sheffield, he isn't going anywhere. Let's see. I don't get it because Mike Vick was killing Pitts and got horse and got a hero's welcome after getting out of jail. Deshaun Watson never got charged. I just don't get it. Well, here's the thing. This is crazy. Fans hate everyone that's not Jim Brown, but look at the way New York media treats the Jets and the Giants for the Raiders fan base. We make fun of LA because the Chargers and the Rams don't even have real fans. That's something to be said for. Let me get one more comment in here. Bush, you hit the nail on the bro right here. I've been working on for the last 30 days, putting together a podcast that rates local and national media. I got a lot of interesting starting January 24th. Hey, I want that feedback too. Y'all put that in there. I need them ones and twos. I need that. We need to figure out if they got the same energy. What's up, G Bush? I'm glad Deshaun Watson. I'll just say that. Speaking on up for himself. I like my quarterback to defend him because people in the media will talk a lot of smack stuff just being annoying overall. I appreciate that, man. I need them ones and twos in here too. Come on now. Do it for Chubb. What's odd about it is if you look at what's the major demo from I don't know, SA cases, they share the same skin color as the people making the jokes. You think that they would take such a topic more serious, being that the majority they're the majority of the victims. I think he's talking about the sexual assault cases, and I just find it funny that like grown men just like, and it's the same joke. Like it's not new or original. It's the same joke. It's just the same joke. So let's keep it pushing. We went a little long on that topic. We went a little long on it. I do want to get to a couple other things as well. Max Nikolenko says, can Deshaun Watson ask for a trade and opt out of his contract? No. That's the other funny. Yo, you're not getting out of this deal anyway. You're not getting out of this deal anyway. So you might as well just embrace it. Embrace that situation. So let's get to this. Now, I do want to talk about this. I don't want to be a chatty patty, but I wanted to drill down on that a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears. And we're going to bring in my man, Greg Schwarz of the Bleacher Report. He's in the building, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's see if we can get Greg up here. Here we go. Greg, man, can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
Oh, this is beautiful. This is going to be awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on with me and talking about this situation. Cavs win a huge one. They get a big-time shot from Donovan Mitchell yesterday during the game. Max Strus has a big game for the Cavs. I think he set a record for debuts with three-point shot. Donovan Mitchell played well. What was your thought process when you saw the game, and what were you thinking about in your impression of the first game of the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Donovan hit the shot that won the game, but for me, Max Strus was the big story. Like you said, 7 3-pointers in his Cavs debut. Double-digit rebounding on a night where they didn't have Jared Allen, and just his overall activity level. Max Strus came away to me as just one of the smartest players on the floor, and that's probably a product of playing with the Miami Heat. That's probably a product of going on deep playoff runs and being a starter in the finals team last year. But he doesn't just stand there. He makes things happen, whether he's cutting to the basket, whether he's spacing out to the corner for three. He has no hesitation on that shot whatsoever. And like I said, we have not had a guy that moves like him and shoots like him since Kyle Korver was in the building. And we didn't get prime Kyle Korver, but he was still moving around at age 37 or whatever he was. So just a terrific debut for Max Strus. I think any question marks about should he be the starting small forward were certainly answered last night.
Yeah, listen, he was pulling up, and the funny thing is, I kept thinking about that. When you come from Miami, one of the things that they do so well is they move without the ball. They're always moving. And I just looked at the way that they were playing. And I think his experience when it came from making the finals, like they made a crazy run, an improbable run. And he was a dude that was a big part of it for him. And I could actually see his like confidence oozing on the floor when he was like, oh, no, I got this. I'm good.
Yeah, he made a comment after the game. I think maybe you guys, mentioned it on the main show today that he kind of wanted the shot. He was open at the end too. He wanted Donovan, and he was. I mean, he was open, but so was Donovan. And I don't think Donovan's passing that shot up. But I have full belief in Max Strus that he could have made that shot as well.
Yeah, listen, I thought you talk about Donovan Mitchell. They got a little testy. The Cavs were up 10. And they lost that lead in this third quarter. And as I'm watching the game come down in the fourth quarter, I'm like, man, they're going to lose this game. Playing around. We had them. Every shot they were shooting was going down in the first half. And then Donovan Mitchell comes and gets a steal. He gets a steal, gets that dunk. They end up having the opportunity to come down there and hit the big three-pointer to put them on top. Is this something that, I know it's the first game, but it's one of those, are you looking for that type of intensity from Donovan Mitchell to kind of say, listen, I understand that we lost a little bit last year. I understand the Knicks game, but this year is a different year.
Yeah, I think that was important. He had a couple really good steals where he just, poked the ball away, led to an easy transition basket. And I mean, for your, the leader of your team, the guy that was second team All-NBA, an all-star starter, if he kind of sets the tone defensively, I just think that's so important because, Donovan, when he came in the league with the Utah Jazz, he was a really good defensive player. He was a really good defensive player at Louisville. And I feel like he just had to shoulder so much of the offensive burden in Utah that year by year, he kind of got a little worse to the point where they played the Dallas Mavericks in the first round 2 years ago. He was horrible. I mean, you could attack him every possession defensively. And I thought last year with the Cavs, he was better. And I thought, his energy and his activity level in game one was awesome. And if he's doing that every game where he's getting a steal or two, or he can poke it away and get an easy transition bucket, that sets a really good tone for the rest of the defense.
Well, let's look big picture. One of the things we want to see is Evan Mobley's his progression. And we talked about it a lot last year. We want to see him be able to put the ball on the floor, a couple more dribbles. You want to be able to see him spread his range, knock down a consistent, 15 to 18 foot jumper, and maybe hit a couple corner threes. And his progression, what did you see yesterday? And moving forward, do you think he's added anything to his game over the summer?
That was my only negative in game one. I mean, it's great they got the win. Max Strus had a big game. Donovan had a big game. Isaac Okoro was hitting shots. That was great. But for, with no Jared Allen, Evan Mobley is your starting center. And his spacing isn't as important when he's the starting center. It's more important when there's two bigs on the floor.
Yep.
And the Cavs navigated the regular season last year, and they were fine. And their offensive numbers with those two guys on the floor were good. When the playoffs hit, is when it became a problem. And now this is a team that, you want to have a good regular season, but you're now going to be judged on how you do in the playoffs. So for me, he's got to start shooting threes because I don't think Jared Allen ever will. And I look back at the preseason. In 3 games, Evan Mobley took 29 shots in the preseason. 29 shots in 3 games. One of those shots was a 3-point attempt. One. And I just thought, this is the time. This is the preseason. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You should be shooting 5 3-pointers a game.
Right.
Like this is the time to do that. And he took 1 3-pointer and missed it in 3 preseason games. Last night, no 3-point attempts. And like I said, last night it wasn't a big a deal. He was the only big. Everybody else was shooting the ball well. As a team, they almost shot 40% from 3. But if you want this to work when it matters the most, which is in the playoffs, which is what you're going to be judged on moving forward, because that clock is ticking with Donovan Mitchell, right? He's got to become at least a one a game, not even two a game, just one a game where he can keep defensive honest. Because when Jared Allen comes back, we saw what a problem that was in the playoffs. So for me, Evan, you got to start shooting some threes, buddy, because this whole offense completely opens up if you start doing that.
Is this a situation where it's more of the fact that he's scared to take them or the opportunity to take them?
I don't think he's scared to take him, because I remember, being at media day last year, and he was, Evan Mobley never has a lot of excitement in his voice, but he was very confident in saying, I worked on this all summer. You're going to see me on the perimeter a lot more. You're going to see me shooting 3-pointers more. And it never happened. Like his numbers were almost identical to his rookie year when he didn't shoot it that much then either. So I was kind of like, where is this? That's on the coaching staff to put him in those offensive sets where he, starts in the corners and probably works his way to the perimeter. That's on his teammates to get him the ball out there. And even if you look at pure raw shot attempts last night, he was maybe 5th on the team. I get you won the game. Yeah. You had other guys stepped up. That's great. But at the end of the day, this team, and I've said this for probably 2 years, this team only becomes a championship contender if Evan Mobley becomes an all-star, because there's other talent on this roster that's reached their peak. It has come close to it. Evan Mobley is the one that you don't know what he's going to be. And if he becomes an all-star and he becomes not even a 20-point per game on offense, but a guy that you can run the offense through at times, then this team reaches their championship level. And we haven't seen it from Evan Mobley yet.
Talking to Greg Schwarz of the Bleacher Report, he is a beat reporter for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs win last Saturday on opening night against the Brooklyn Nets, 114-113. Let's take a broader picture here. Let's go around the league a little bit and talk about the Eastern Conference. There's been some trades and moves made. The Milwaukee Bucks go out and get Damian Lillard, but they lose Drew Holiday. And also a little bit with the Knicks. The Knicks lose the Celtics lose Marcus Smart. They lose Brogdon. They lose some other guys like that, but they bring in Porzingis, who's played for the Wizards last year, was hurt a lot. But talk a little bit about those two trades and where you see, do you like them? And do you think either one of those teams put themselves up higher than what their ceiling was last year?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who, grew up near Cleveland and supports the Cavs, I hated what the Bucks did and the Celtics did, because they both got a lot better. But as a basketball fan, I'm like, good for them. Giannis put a lot of pressure on the Bucks this summer with his comments about possibly signing an extension or not signing an extension. And what did they do? They went out and got the prize of the trade market of the last couple of years, when nobody thought they were going to do that. Drew Holiday and Giannis were a very good combo. I mean, they were beating teams by 18 points per 100 possessions when those two were on the floor. So they were a walking win when they played. So the fact that they were willing to shake that up for Damian Lillard was a little bit of a risk. But again, it's Damian Lillard. You got to do it. So it was 100% the right move to make. I said it's, with the spacing that they give Giannis, I wrote my article, I said it's like giving Godzilla a jetpack and setting him loose on Tokyo. It's just the amount of damage that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to do with that amount of spacing is just ridiculous. And the fact they brought back, Brook Lopez, one of the best 3-point shooting big men in the league. That frontline defense of Brook Lopez and Giannis is going to make up for any defensive deficiencies that, Damian Lillard and Malik Beasley might have, a la the Cavs at times with their front court. And then, the Celtics, I mean, what a slap in the face of the Bucks. You're going to trade away Drew Holiday? All right, we'll go get him. Like,
that's crazy.
What a slap in the face. That was the perfect counter move, because I didn't love the Porzingis trade just for the fact that, he played 65 games last year, and that was a lot for him. I mean, him missing 17 games, that was the most he's played since his sophomore year in the NBA, pre-ACL injury. So he's a guy that usually misses 20-plus games a year. So I didn't like that trade. I didn't like the fact that they gave up Marcus Smart. But then you replace Marcus Smart with a better Marcus Smart and Drew Holiday. I absolutely loved that move for the Celtics. To me, they are clearly the two best teams in the East. I think the Cavs are going to ultimately finish as the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. But those two teams, man, I don't think the Cavs are getting out of the East into the NBA Finals as long as the Bucks and Celtics are healthy. They're too good.
Greg, I will thank you so much for spending a couple moments. We'll check back you in with you. Great knowledge as always, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. That is Greg Schwarz of the Bleacher Report. Shout out to Greg for coming in and talking with us a little bit today. Here's the thing. Let's get back and before we get back to the Browns, let's get a little word in from my people. Shout out to being a proud sponsor of the barbershop. By the way, we got something special coming up. We got another big sponsor coming along. But first, we can't forget about the actual barbershop. Shout out to my man Jason at Phenomenal Barbershop. Call him to book an appointment today. Just wouldn't saw him. I'm looking clean today. His number is 216-385-8861. He's out there in Lakewood, Phenomenal Barbershop. You could catch them. You could do it on the app. You could book a personal session. And everything is by appointment. He takes cash. He takes credit. And you do it in a great environment. I'll tell you what, man. If you're going to get cut up nice, go holler at my man Jason, and we'll talk about that, and he'll get you together. He'll talk a little Browns, got a nice little setup downstairs. So check him out. That's Phenomenal Barbershop, the official barber of the barbershop. I want to get to this a little bit. Let's get back to this conversation. Before I left, when we were talking about the Cleveland Browns, what I did tell you was this. We want to get transparent. Let's get to this conversation. Before I left, I said, look, if you think that money matters and everybody want to count pockets, why don't everybody put their salary out there? Why don't everybody put it out there? Why don't the mainstream media put theirs out there? I'd be willing to do it. Let's put how much money you make out there. Let's go and see what you guys think about that. Let me see the ones and twos. Where the ones and twos? Let's get back to that. It's gonna be good. It's going to be good. Here we go. So, I thought I answered that. Did I answer that? I'll go back and answer it. I'll look back again and see what the super chat was. Let me see if I answered that. Just to make sure. I like to make sure the super chats get answered. What I look like, Mikey McNuggets? No, I'm playing Mikey. You do a good job with the super chats. Oh, here it is, Max. In case of a rift. Oh, here we go. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat, and thank you for reminding me of that. In the case of a rift between Deshaun Watson and the Browns, can Deshaun opt out of his guaranteed contract and ask for a trade? Here's the thing about that. He can ask for a trade. The problem is who's going to trade for him. He has a torn rotator cuff. He has not played well in the last 8-9 games that he's played here. Plus, on top of that, all of the other excess baggage and stuff like that. And what are you going to pay for a guy and then take on that contract? No, that's not going to happen. He is where he is. He is here to stay. So I do appreciate that, man. I appreciate the super chat. Let's get to the ones and twos to see who would actually take that. And I'm going somewhere specific with it. As to why I'm asking about people's salaries and different things like that, because it shows you something that I think people think that they smart doing. All right, so here, let's get to it. Take this down. Nicole D, she says that's a 2. A 2 means ain't nobody about to display they salaries and their contracts in the media. They ain't about to do that. Let's keep it pushing. Julian Levy says 2. Main Street Fire Chief says 2. Reese Holt 2. Anthony Allen 2. You funny. You playing around. Let's see. 2. Who putting the contract out here? 2. He just said, hell no, they ain't doing that. Hey, 2, and rightfully so. 2. So my question to everybody was, if everybody is so enamored with somebody's contract, then why we were enamored with ours? We public figures too. And the reason I'm asking that question, it gets at the heart of this. When every single person sits here and says, you're not worth $230 million. You're not worth that. Look what we gave up to get him. Do you know how many people you work with every single day that ain't worth half of what they get? Do you know how many people sit up in management positions that's making millions and is incompetent, don't have degrees, have no people skills? I find it very ironic that all of the coaching staffs, their contracts are not readily available outside and just pulling them up. Ever ask yourself why? Does anybody know how much Andrew Berry makes? Maybe the director of scouting. Nobody knows that? And what I'm getting at the media and the heart of the question is, if you ask, and that's the first thing you say about a player is how much money he makes and they equate what he's worth. The reason why people and adults in high school and everything tell you never ask a person how much they make is disrespectful. You know, as a child, they've taught you that from a little kid, right? If you ask a grown-up, how much do you make? People get offended. Why? Because it's personal, right? The reason they tell you that is if you actually knew how much a person got, you'd be able to say, you're the worst teacher in the school. Why you make that? You're the worst journalism. You're the worst journalist on the beat. How you make that amount of money? You would actually see that people that are garbage are making more than people that do the most. You'd see that certain people were grossly overpaid for what they do, and you would see people making pennies grossly underpaid for what they do, right? But they tell you not to say that because it's don't ask, don't tell. And the reason it's don't ask, don't tell is because they know you're not worth the grain of salt that you asking these questions. You getting that much money to ask that stupid question? What do you really do? You're right, and you give opinions. I think football players earn their money more than the people who sit here and talk about it. We don't do nothing. We don't do anything. I'm in the inside. They make it up. They don't do anything. They don't watch the film. They don't ask original questions. They don't get the insight. They ain't doing no good interviews. There's like 5 or 6 people that really do their job. The rest of them just simply fake it. And that broke my little heart. I thought I was getting in here with some of the people that I thought was the greatest to ever do it. I looked up to a lot of people. Never. It's a shame when you start to meet people and you're like, dang, that person is a fraud. So you mean you don't even act that question you asked, somebody else wrote it for you? How many days do you work a week? You messing me up. It messed me up. I'm telling you. Let me keep moving. I'm going to get to these comments. Do it for trouble. What these fans don't understand is y'all just look lame as hell to other fan bases, and that's why they don't get any respect for the cities and teams. Michael Cooper said Cleveland fans are wishy-washy. They hate the man because of allegations that were never proven. Jonathan Norris says, I totally support Washington because I know he can work at least, but long-term it's a no for me. I don't like the system that we will have to put in place for him to succeed. Let's keep getting going. If salaries didn't matter, they wouldn't be made public. Well, here's the thing too. My question is, why is every other salary not public? Listen, if it's a false equivalence, let me know. We got a lot of twos in here. They are going to have to Gilbert Arenas Watson. Yeah, man, shut up. But we all did pay him. I don't know. Yeah, y'all getting all a question, man. Let's see. Here we go. Last one. James Dolan says, fans made Baker and Watson a black and white thing, and now the Watson writers make everything an excuse in the book for him. Listen, here's the thing. The funny thing, and this was a critique on our fan base, because when I tell people all the time, I'm just a messenger. I hold it up. Listen, I hold the mirror up all the time. I'm just a dude that's bringing up stuff that people may not want to talk about. If you believe If you believe there is no black side of the ledger and white side of the ledger, you're crazy. I said that to Bill Simmons. He said, what you mean? I said, listen, at any given time, there's a large group of people who are in support, and there's a large group of people that are not in support. And the city has not been unified on a quarterback in a minute. And he was like, what? Where did that come from? I said, bro, are you serious? One group says, listen, you guys give Baker a shot. The other group was like, nah, get him up out of here. Now that group is saying, Deshaun Watson, give him a shot. The other group say, man, get him up out of here. It is what it is, bro. I just coming to prove a point. And my point being is this. You guys may think that this has no bearing on anything, but it's only going to get a little bit worse. I got about 7 minutes here. I'm going to keep it moving. It's only going to get a little bit worse. Let me tell you this. And this is for all the people who I think who will say I put the cape on for anybody. No, I just tell the truth of how I feel. Watson is a lost cause in 2023. As a matter of fact, I was the one who told you weeks ago I would have put him on IR. I told you weeks ago this thing. Go back and look at my timeline. I've said everything I said. I said, listen, Deshaun Watson got some situations going on, but the Browns can't act like he's coming back, because the reality of the situation is when you talk to Bernie Kosar, who's had the injury. I wanted to put the video up here, but I didn't have time to do it. Bernie talked about it. He said people act like if you sit him today and tomorrow and all the next month and all the next week and the whole month after that, he said it's not going to get any better unless he has surgery or he sits 6 months out. And I told, I didn't want it to pop off that way, but let's be clear. The guy hurt his shoulder just by taking a routine hit. He has set back on a routine hit so much that he got ruled out on a Wednesday. So much so he was ruled out of possibly playing Wednesday. So he wasn't even close to playing. A natural hit. What happens if he takes a direct blow? What happens if he tries to throw the ball 60 yards? We already know what the answer to that is. And my question to this is, why is people acting like that's some revelation? You put on top of that he was already not playing well to start with. He has to play games. He's in a position to where he's already knocked all the rust off. That is not the case here. That is not the case at all, boys and girls. He still was working through some stuff in terms of mechanics and all this good stuff. So why are we playing these reindeer charade games acting like we don't got to get a quarterback? And for everybody that sits up there and talks about it, look, you can't have it both ways. G. Bush, just be happy that you're 4-2. Come on, man, that's fool's gold. You know that, right? And once again, this ain't all for everybody. I'm the I told you guy. I mean, like you do know that what we doing with PJ Walker is not sustainable, don't you? I hope we're not fooling ourselves. My thought process is this. They keep him around, and they know he's not going to be effective. But the hope of somebody coming back through that locker room is more powerful than saying, Deshaun Watson's done for the year. Go get another quarterback. PJ Walker, it's all on you. That don't have the same ring. That don't keep people excited. So when you say day-to-day, the reason they say day-to-day is because they're not willing to come out and tear that Band-Aid off. Because at the end of the day, if you put Deshaun Watson on IR, it all falls on Kevin Stefanski and whether they're going to win games or not. Secondly, Bernie did say something that I thought was a little bit, because I didn't agree with this at first, but he said something that was that I really believe after he talked to him. He said, "Oh, they definitely looking for a quarterback. The reason they can't say openly that they're not looking for a quarterback is, hey, you got PJ Walker. It's too late to bring a quarterback in now. You just want to give him as much confidence as you can and try to steal a game in Seattle." I felt that. You know, you're not going to be able to do nothing now to get a quarterback. But best believe behind closed doors, I think that's what they're doing. And so for me, the whole thesis of this situation is this. As we look at the totality of it, the Cleveland Browns didn't do Deshaun Watson any favors. I mean, to be truthful, they didn't do Baker Mayfield any favors. They didn't do Odell Beckham Jr. any favors. They didn't do Jarvis Landry any favors. I mean, heck, for a while, they didn't even give Myles Garrett any favors when it comes to certain things that they say and do. The point is, don't be surprised if moving forward, you're going to have more and more conflicts between what's the deal, how we doing it, and what we doing. And that type of stuff doesn't help. It just doesn't. So my goal is, hey, if Deshaun Watson can't play, and for all the people out there, no disrespect, half y'all ain't that. Listen, here's what we do. You go in that field and let me hit you. let somebody my size come hit you. It's a lot of people that ain't never played the game and ain't never had no surgeries, no injuries, ain't even had a big toenail that got hit on the side of the bed, and they talking about who's tough and who not. I think that there's a lot of that has to do with, one, you just wish you had $230 million. Two, maybe you just a little jealous. And three, yeah, I mean, you may want Baker Mayfield back. He is playing tonight, but he's not coming through that door. The Cleveland Browns need to move on this season. They're 4-2. You got PJ Walker. We need to get another quarterback in here, a veteran, and keep it pushing, because you got guys in here like Myles Garrett. You got guys in here that want to do their thing. And here's the thing about what y'all don't understand, because I talk to the players all the time. It ain't Deshaun Watson you should be worried about that asked for a trade. It's the Myles Garretts of the world. It's the Denzel Wards of the world. It's the guys that are on one-year deals that you might want to bring back. The Zadarius Smiths, right? It's the guys that, you know what I'm saying? That's, you don't worry about Deshaun Watson. That's the least of your worries. Your worries should be all in the fact that you want to get done what you need to get done, and that's making the playoffs. And to do that, PJ Walker got to play out of his mind, and I don't think that's possible. What you do need to do, talk to Jacoby, get him on the line, and get this thing done. Because look, it's fool's gold to sit around here and think we're going to ride with PJ Walker. Let's get a couple comments in here. Let's get a couple in here. Here we go. Got a couple super chats. We'll be at. G Bush, you want to keep it real? To keep it real, let's do it. Why people hate on Watson, but love Jim Brown? Do they know Jim Brown's history? Look, the reason they do that, Chris, is because people, when they get ready to criticize something, they look around to see how many people are going to give them approval for doing that. The reason they don't say anything about Jim Brown is because Jim Brown's cachet is so large that if they uttered anything, there'd be 7,500 people ready to shoot him down saying, keep Jim Brown's name out your mouth. So they look up and they say, well, I'm a punt on that one. I'm a punt on this situation, because they know there's nothing coming from it. But Deshaun Watson is different, right? Deshaun Watson doesn't have a high approval rating in the fan base. So they can say a lot of different things to get away with it that they can't say about the famous, the world-renowned, almost best football player in the entire world, Jim Brown. They just can't do it. That's the reason. I give you that. Who's this? See, here you go. Here you go. We've already dialogued this, man. And next time, what I would like you to do, Beanie Doggerson, is put your name on that. My face is my profile. Put your face on that. I need you to put your face to the stuff you're saying. Thumbs up costs you nothing. Barbershop. Let's get it done. I need them likes. 354. Listen, because here's the thing. One more. Tahiri Hines. A lot of hate on Watson. All of a sudden, people joke with injuries. Cleveland coaches was hating. Watson has a micro tear. Browns are going to the championship with Watson. Rasta governments. All right, man. We had a great time. Time's up. We overtime two times, and we'll talk about it. Make sure you hit that like button. As always, we'll be back. Make sure you catch us on WKYC tomorrow, 12:30 to 1. We'll be right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Check us out on WKYC as always. And it's your boy G Bush. You never know where I'm gonna just show up, man. But one thing you better do: listen for the Clippers. Peace.